talking, but I just want to say thank you so much for accepting my invitation to join us tonight and to share your story. We are a small but mighty team. We have some really awesome momentum right now, which I'm sure I know the whole company is feeling this really amazing energy and momentum. And we've got some like people crushing it on our team. And what we like to do is we like to invite other coaches to just share their stories, because I think a lot of times that's where, we kind of relate to other people who are maybe going through similar things. And so when I heard you speak at Super Saturday, I was like, oh snap, this girl has 4 kids. She's rocking her business. And I want to say, did you say there were 4 under the age of 4?
When my 4th daughter was born, or my 4th child was born, my oldest was only 4. So now they're like 2 to 6.
Yeah. And guys, I asked Dara to join us, and she was on the National Wake Up Call a few weeks ago. And hello, she is a 3-time elite coach. She is an SC10 legend for 52 months straight, which means Success Club 10. Never missed it for 52 months.
Right.
She is a 6-figure earner and a lifetime 6-star diamond coach. But like I just said, she has 4 littles, and she is finding those pockets of time to work her business. She's busy, so busy. And I want her to share. See, there they are. Hey, guys. Oh.
These are the twins. They're going to bed, though.
Oh, my gosh. They're so cute. So, hey. So just share. Oh, that's so sweet.
Go to bed now, guys. Sorry.
So it's okay. It's okay. Mom life. I'm sure mine will pop in too in a few minutes. But we just want to hear how you got started in coaching and a little bit about your story. Like what? Yeah. So go for it. Take it away.
Okay, so I'm going to share my story first, and then if you guys have questions from there, we can just go right into questions, or I do have some other things I can talk about if you're like, we're good, just tell us what you want to say type of thing. So I'm up for either. I love interview style, and I also, again, I have a few things I can definitely say otherwise. So I started in January of 2014. At the time, I had a 2-year-old daughter. So the boys you just saw, they're my 4-year-old twins. And then my daughter is now 6. My oldest daughter is 6, and my youngest will be 2 in like next week. So, but at the time I started, my oldest daughter was just over 2, and I had just had the twins. And the twins had been born in October, and I started in January. And I was just drowning. I mean, and it was one of those things where I didn't realize how bad off I was until I found Beachbody and was like, oh, I could have been feeling like this the whole time. I just didn't know. You're just kind of doing it, and you're surviving and doing your best, and you don't know, you know that you're not living your best life, but you don't know how to change it. So I feel like I already skipped to like the front. But so basically I had heard about Beachbody in 2010 from Lindsay Matway, my now coach. She had gone to my church a few times, and my mom was like, this girl's doing this thing, you should check it out. At the time, my husband was playing professional baseball, Major League Baseball. And as soon as like I heard it was network marketing, I was like, out, not interested, not what I needed. I just didn't think I needed it. And maybe we didn't at that time. I really, as much as I'm like, man, it would have been awesome if I'd started in 2010, right? Wow, where could my business have been? But I also think we all just have a time that makes sense for us, and that I believe for me it was, God put this business in my life when I needed it, and, had me take that jump when I needed it. And so keep that in mind as you're recruiting people. They're not going to say yes right away, and that's okay. 4 years. And for those 4 years, it had never left my mind. I had considered it and reconsidered it so many times in that 4 years. I just kept I was too afraid, and I kept ignoring it, and ignoring it. But finally, when I had the twins, I just remember sitting on my couch. You know, Sienna, my oldest, was dancing around, and I was like double bottle feeding Price and Maddox, and just feeling, I remember like the feeling of like, is this it? Is this what my life looks like for the next 18 years? And for me, I think that's like not a thought any mom wants to think or feel, but like for me, all I had ever wanted to do was be a mom. Like I was that girl, and I wasn't ashamed of it. I never wanted a career. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I went to school for like, you know, my major was fitness and wellness, but like I never really, I was a personal trainer for a few months, and then I got married. You know, like I just had no intentions of having a career. I wanted to be a mom. I knew that was my calling. So for me to feel that way was really scary, and it really just shook me. And that's when I knew I had to change. So all those years of considering it and reconsidering it, I wasn't desperate enough. You know, I think, is it Tony Robbins? I feel like there's a few people that claim this quote, but you know, there's two things that move people to action. One is inspiration and one is desperation. For me, it was desperation. So I finally decided to just do it. And I knew that if I could, like, I needed something I could control. With 3 babies, 2 years old and under, I needed something I could control. And so I was like, you know what? I need to it was 8 weeks postpartum, just about. I was like, I got to get back to working out. Like, I know that will make me feel better. I feel like that was something I was good at in my past life. You know, I was at that stage of motherhood, and I don't know if you guys have ever felt this way, and not just motherhood, in my life, even to go even back further than that. I think, again, my husband played baseball. So there was no, even if I had wanted a career, there was no leverage for that. And I had really lost myself in that process, even before becoming a mom. And I just like I put myself all into our marriage and his dream of playing baseball, that I just completely lost sight of my own dreams during that time. So when I signed up for Beachbody, I couldn't have told you one thing I was even good at. I couldn't have told you a talent. Like, I was just my self-confidence had just plummeted. And so I was like, I feel like I need to get back to fitness. Like I said, I think that's something I used to be good at. I think that's something I used to enjoy. And I knew I wasn't going to make it to the gym. I was a gym girl. I love the gym. I love the social part of the gym. I love the people watching. But I knew, you know, there was no way I was dragging all those kids to the gym. So I was like, you know what, it's time for me to finally try this Beachbody thing. And if I'm going to try the workouts, I might as well just do the coaching thing. Maybe I can find one person to do it with me, you know? And so I did. I saw a post from Lindsay, and it was just one of those things where it was like, I didn't blink. I was just like, I need to do this. So I did. But I didn't go all in. You know, you hear a lot of these coach stories, and they're just like, and I went head first. I started working 18 hours a day. Gosh, that wasn't me. I was still like ready to run at the first sign of pyramid scheme. I had never tried Shakeology. I had never tried these at-home programs. So there was like a big trial period for me where it was like, I can't do this if I don't even like this stuff. So, you know, I really tiptoed in. I didn't, you know, I wasn't worried about rank. And, you know, my coach, Lindsay, did such a good job of handling me. You know, she didn't talk to me about rank. She's just, you know, the whole find just a few people to join us. And that's what I needed to hear. I think you have those coaches who they want to know it all right away. And I wasn't one of those coaches. And Lindsay handled me really well. But after just 3 months of pushing play and drinking Shakeology and just doing the physical fitness part, I did find people to join me. I did, you know, I hit Success Club right away. But not because, you know, I did have some credibility in the health and fitness industry. And, you know, I think there's reasons for that. It was January. It was a good time to start being a coach, you know. But after just 3 months of Beachbody life, coach life, the programs, the shakes, I felt more like myself in that 3 months than I had in the previous 3 years. So after 3 months, I did decide, you know what, I'm all in. Why not me? Why can't I do this? And I really got a bigger vision for the business. And it's kind of just been it's all just fallen into place since then. I didn't know how it would. I just kept doing the things, I just kept doing the things my coach told me to do. And it for me, it very much was like a compound effect situation. So that's kind of my story on that. Does anyone have any questions just based on that?
I think you're telling a lot of our story. It sounds like your story is pretty much all of us on this call. We drown in motherhood and we lose ourselves. And this has been an awakening for most of us on this team. And it's really awesome to know that you were able to build something with 4 kids at home. And can you share with everyone how you found the time and those pockets of time, and maybe some of those things those must-do things every single day? Can you share a little bit about that with the team? I think that would be really helpful.
100%. I'm going to say a few things before that. I have a few things that I really feel like I've learned about this business. And the first one is you can choose to believe in this business. Because like I said, I didn't believe when I first started. I was very much tiptoeing my way in. I didn't sign up my husband right away. I was like, I'm not spending more money on this business. That was totally my attitude. And I don't criticize myself for that at all. But man, I wish I would have signed them up sooner. I wish I would have just chosen to believe. I wish I would have gone all in. And it only took me 3 months. But it really was a switch that I could choose to turn on. And so none of this is going to work. I can tell you all the things to do, but if you don't believe in it, it's not going to work anyways. So and it's personal development. So I remember talking to Sandy about the National Wake Up Call, and I wanted to talk about belief. And she's like, well, Dara, how do you teach belief? And I'm like, dang, I don't know. But I do think there's ways. Do you know what made me believe? Those National Wake Up Calls. I kept hearing story after story of these really seemingly average people doing extraordinary things in this business. And that's what made me say, why not me? And then also personal development. And that is what I really think fueled that switch for me and that belief. So no, I don't think you can teach belief, but I think there's things you can do to cultivate belief in your life, in yourself, in this business. So you have to do that first. I really strongly believe that. And when you choose to believe, those activities that I'm going to tell you to do, you're going to do differently because you believe. It's going to come more naturally. I'm not saying it's not going to be hard or scary, but it's just going to feel different if you're choosing to believe. The second thing you have to do, and this is so important to me and so important to what I teach my team, is you cannot sacrifice your goals on the altar. Wait, no, I'm saying it wrong. You cannot sacrifice your priorities on the altar of your goals. And what I mean by that is, if you are setting big goals that don't line up with your priorities, you're never going to feel good about those goals. So if your priorities, for me, it's, my faith, my relationship with God, my family, obviously, are my biggest priorities, and then this business. So if I'm setting a business goal that is going to completely distract me from my kids, take away my time with my husband in the evenings or whenever that is, it's not a good goal for me to pursue right now. Not that there's not a season of my life or maybe even a time period where I say, okay, guys, I've got to do this for 1 month, but it's not sustainable otherwise. So you really need to set your priorities first, then you can write out your goals. And I know sometimes you're like, well, maybe I'm not going to know, if my priority, what if I set a goal and then I don't know, that's why you have to evaluate constantly. I have my notes. So if I'm looking away, that's all I'm doing. I like having notes in front of me. Yeah. So if your business goals don't line up with your priorities, the pursuit of those goals will never feel right. And even the achievement of those goals, they won't fulfill you the way you should have, because you'll have known that you sacrificed things that were supposed to be more important. So I just feel very passionately about that. And then this is where I can start talking about the activities. One of my things I say, and I've said it I think I said it on the wake up call, and I probably say it every time I speak because it's always true. You do not have to be extraordinary, but you have to be extraordinarily consistent. I don't feel like I do any one thing really well in this business. You have people on team calls and they're going to talk about Instagram or creating beautiful graphics or the perfect, response to objections. I don't have that thing, my thing is consistency. So when I was a new coach, first of all, I didn't really know what I was, I had a little guidance, of course, but I kind of just feel like, am I doing the right things? I don't know. But I really did work in pockets of time. At the time, I was exclusively pumping for the twins and then still having to actually feed them the bottles. And you guys know, pumping, oof, it's just such a, oof. I always actually joke, that's actually the reason I started Beachbody, exclusively because of pumping. It drove me to desperation. But I really was working in pockets of time because here's the thing. In that season of life, did not have more than 15, 20 minutes to rub together during the day. And at night, I might have after the kids went to bed, because I actually did have my kids on a really good routine, even young. But then I was so exhausted. The last thing I wanted to do was work this business. So I really just made the most of those little pockets of time. If you listen to the National Wake Up Call, I talked about this, but I really did just have that non-negotiable list of things I needed to do. And that list, you can't have, like I said on the call, you can't have 15 non-negotiables because you're not going to get 15 non-negotiables done, and then you're not going to be consistent. So you really need to narrow that list down to like 2 or 3 things that you can do consistently. I'll say that later. So for me, those things were building my brand on social media. I don't know what social media platform you're using. I know, it's like it can get a little overwhelming with all the social media platforms, but build your brand on social media, whatever that looks like for you. That's, to me, a non-negotiable. I still think social media is the best way to reach more people. So again, whatever that looks like to you, whether that's taking the time to make a nice graphic and come up with a nice post, or having a social media plan for the week, figure out what works for you and build your brand on social media. The other non-negotiable was you have to be talking to people. So for me, that was my connections, just making sure I was talking to people. I have never been too much of a totally cold invite person. I definitely like to build a little bit of a relationship first. Now, sometimes the cold invites, those work for people. So I'm not saying they don't work. I'm just saying that's not necessarily how I did things. But I was just talking to people. Hey, how have you been? It's been forever. That's it. That's all I would say to start, and just, it takes time, to have those conversations back and forth. But the goal of those conversations for me was not to eventually bring up Beachbody. That's really wasn't the goal, because as soon as that's your one and only goal, that's when you become inauthentic. That's when you start feeling, I get, my coach is saying like, well, how do I know when to bring up Beachbody? I'm like, if it's not happening really naturally, then you don't. You wait till the next time, or you wait for them to come to you. So for me, the goal of those conversations was not for me to invite them, but just put myself in front of them again. I always say those conversation starters, those connection messages, those hey girls, whatever you want to call them, they're just breaking down a wall. If you haven't talked to someone in 10 years, maybe they've seen your post, but they're like, I haven't talked to her in 10 years. I'm not going to message her out of nowhere. But now you already messaged her. So it's not out of nowhere. And she's going to feel more comfortable coming to you the next time she does see one of your posts. So that's how I view those. Again, I have coaches on my team, downline coaches. They invite like crazy to everyone, and it works for them. And I'm like, go for it, girl. You're amazing. But for me, this has been more my thing. That being said, along with the connections being a non-negotiable, were the follow-ups. And while I don't cold invite, I follow up with everyone without a shame, without fear, without hesitation. People are not thinking about Beachbody the way we are. So if someone hasn't responded to me, I am not afraid a few days later to say, hey, I know life gets crazy. Have you had a chance to look at that message? Or are you still interested in doing this group? I'm just checking because we start on Monday and I don't want you to miss out. There is nothing abrasive or pushy or anything about that. If they respond, my favorite question, and I'm sure you've heard it, is, if they say no, I totally understand. Would you mind if I kept you updated on, future groups that I think you might be interested in? No one's ever said no to that, and now they've just given you permission to follow up again. So I am adamant about follow-ups, and you have to do them. And that means you have to keep a list of the people you're talking to so you know who to follow up with. I remember early in my business, I thought I would remember. I probably didn't start keeping a list till too late in my business. Let's put it that way. And in the beginning, especially, you need a list, because in the beginning, you're screwing the conversations up. Like, those are the people you really need to come back to in 8 months when you have a little more savvy and know what you're doing, So definitely start a list. That's something else I talked about on the wake up call. You cannot work in 20-minute pockets without knowing who you need to talk to immediately. You don't have time when you only have 20 minutes to scan your friends list for who you want to talk to. You don't have time to go back and search through all of your messages. You need to have a list of who you want to follow up with that day. When's the last time you've talked to this person? Okay, and it doesn't need to be this perfect system. Google Streak, I've heard, is amazing. It'll remind you and this and that. I don't do that. I have Excel spreadsheet, and the little tabs at the bottom are my months, and that's where I put my people. Every single person I talked to about Beachbody in May goes in the May spreadsheet. I might have a few notes of what we talked about or what program they were interested in, but that's it. And then if they actually purchase, then I'll write purchased. So anyone who doesn't have purchase next to their name, those are people I follow up with. And maybe I give them, if I've already followed up after a month or so, I might skip 3 months. It's not like every month, hey, I'm starting my new group. Hey, but you know what I'm saying? But if you thought of them, or, just having them on the list is really important. Okay. Those really are my non-negotiable activities. And like I said on the call, they still are. When I'm oh crap, I haven't hit Success Club. What do I need to do? I post on social media about whatever I have coming up next. I connect with more people, and I do my follow-ups. That is how I hit Success Club every month. And for the record, most of my Success Club points do not come from a post of all these new people that came to me that week. Most of them are follow-ups from previous months. So I think coaches get discouraged. Go find me on Facebook and follow me. Look at my posts. The ones that are about my kids or something sweet, a sweet story, something about mom, so many likes and comments. Or if I talk about my husband, so many likes or comments. Anything about the business, so significantly less likes and comments. And I've been in this 4.5 years. I'm a 3-time elite coach. Not all of us have this huge, cold market following. I'm still in my personal Facebook page. That's where most of my business comes from. So don't be discouraged when the businessy posts, when the posts about the products, when your invite posts don't get as much traction. That's okay. You cannot take that personally. That's just normal. Go look at my stuff after this. You'll see a huge difference. Now, I did have some good traction on some of the 2B mindset stuff a few weeks ago. But again, ever since then, it's just the numbers are so different that it honestly makes me laugh. But I get messages in my inbox a few times from those, people are watching is the bottom line. So you have a non-negotiable list. And obviously, there's so many other great things you can be doing for your business, right? They just all can't be non-negotiables. So you have to have another list. I always called it the if I have time list. And that's maybe creating some new content for your team. That's maybe, watching that training video you've been meaning to watch. That might be, spending extra time on a graphic you've been wanting to work on or whatever. But it has to be on the if I have time list. You have to make sure on your non-negotiables that you're doing the things that are actually going to move your business forward. And yours might look a little different than mine, but it's a good chance they're going to be the 3 vital behaviors, or at least few of the vital 4. I always forget there's 4, by the way. A few of those vital behaviors that it's going to be. Again, the way we do those vital behaviors might look different, but it's going to be the vital behaviors. And I don't talk about personal development or doing your workout and drinking your shake as non-negotiables, because that's like beyond non-negotiable to me. That's like should be automatic behavior at this point. And I don't believe your workout should be part of your like work business time. If you've set business hours, to me, you know, it's not that you can't do it in that work time, but you can't say I just worked for 2 hours when an hour of it was your workout. You worked for 1 hour then, you know? So just don't trick yourself into thinking that's not business time. You need to do your workout and do your personal development. But again, that's automatic behaviors. That's for your personal growth, not your business's personal growth. So that was all. I wanted to make sure. I actually meant to say that on the wake-up call, and I forgot because I didn't want people to think that I don't think those are important. They're beyond important. It should just be so automatic and habitual that it's not something you have to write down on a list, you know. Did I answer that mostly the way you wanted, Devin? Any other activities you have questions about, or like, well, what about this? Oh, I'm really passionate about, I love the coach community I've found now. I love the friends I've made. But man, I didn't make a lot of friends my first year or two because I wasn't talking to other coaches when I had time. I was talking to people who didn't already have Beachbody. And I feel really strongly about that. I think sometimes I see coaches spend too much time in chat groups or Facebook groups with other coaches. And that's not building your business if you're on limited time. You know, if you're not, chat away, get your stuff done, chat, cool. I didn't have time for that my first few years. And now I do. And I've made more friends, and I've loved the friends I've made. It's such a huge part, but that I don't think should be your first priority.
Oh my gosh. I think you said everything that our team needed to hear tonight.
Oh, good.
I mean, it's just being okay with, it's reassuring hearing someone, you know, who is as successful as you say that you get crickets or that you only get a few likes and comments on your post, because that confidence is what we're really trying hard to build quickly on our team with our coaches. And we know that sometimes that those hits when you're like, oh, I put that post out there and only got 1 comment, that deters people a lot of times. But that's just the way that it is. And it's nice
Go
hearing
find
that.
some of my business posts, y'all. You're going to laugh. I mean, maybe you'll be like more discouraged. You're like, geez, 4.5 years and it's still like this. But
No.
It's true. Something else I wanted to say, I love that you said your team was small but mighty. That's how I view my team. I do have a highly successful coach on my team now, but so now my team looks big because of her downline. But in terms of my personally sponsored coaches, you know, I have been a 3-time elite coach, like I said, and I have maybe averaged 2 or 3 coaches a month all those 3 years. I am not pulling in big coach numbers, recruiting numbers. I never have. But the people I bring on tend to be often quality, but I still get people that quit all the time. I still get people that I'm in and they're not in, you know? So I just say that to say, again, don't get me wrong. You should shoot to recruit 10 coaches a month. Of course, we all should. But big things are possible without that. And again, I think it sometimes feels like the coaches we hear from are those 50 Success Club point a month and 10, you know, recruiting 20 coaches a month. And I'm not that coach. I have never been that coach. I hope to be that coach, but I'm not so far. And so, yeah. And I think that was really encouraging for me to hear as a young coach, because it was the recruiting. And I felt like, how am I ever going to recruit that many people? And you really don't have to. You need to find 2 or 3 people that are really ready to run with you, and that will give you an amazing foundation. And then you need to keep finding more. But if you just can find 2 to 3 to start, that will really give you a foundation, and start earning some of those team cycle bonuses. You know, if you can get 1 or 2 people to be hitting Success Club and then them to have 1 or 2 people hitting Success Club, it's going to be crazy how quickly that starts to multiply. The other thing I wanted to say, the other two things that I've like really passionate about in this business is when you're working full-time or you're a full-time mom or whatever you're doing and you don't have as much time as you would like to work this business and you really are working in that hour, maybe 2 per day, you don't get to be jealous or compare yourself to other coaches. You just don't. It is your journey. Very quickly, I've been coaching for 4.5 years. I started January 2014. And this is a perfect question because do you know who else started in January 2014 under the exact same coach? Any guesses? None other than Bonnie Engel. So we had the same upline coach. We started the same week. And look at her like rocket to like top 10, 3-time top 10 coach. It would have been so easy for me to just feel so insignificant compared, right? And it would have been so easy for me. And I was jealous for a while, 100%. And she knows this, 100% was like, oh gosh, like why we started at the same time? Like why is she having so much success? And then I really realized very quickly that that was not going to serve me. So instead of choosing to be jealous of those other coaches who are having more success than me, because when you're on Lindsay Matway's team, even if you're me, you're a very little fish in a big pond. You're not a big fish in a small pond on that team. And there were so many other coaches having more success than me. And I really quickly learned to be inspired by that. Be like, wow, she started at the same time as I did. And look what she's done. Think about the 2 different ways you can say that totally changed the attitude behind it. So you really have to just, change your perspective on that. Choose to be inspired by the people doing better. Choose to learn from them, but stay in your lane. Keep your head down. Because it's just, you don't get to compare. You're on a different timeline and that is okay. I was listening to a call with Rachel Hollis, the author of Girl Wash Your Face. And she's like, again, it's going to look like I was this overnight success. She goes, I've been building this for 10 years. You know, what if it took 10 years to build this? What does it matter? The 10 years are going to go anyways. So the last thing I want to say, and it kind of goes along with the priorities thing, but again, I felt like sometimes the message I was hearing was eat, sleep, breathe, Beachbody. And I just never felt good about that. I never felt comfortable with that. And I really need you guys to know that Beachbody does not have to be your life in order to radically, transform your life. It doesn't. I have been doing this and Beachbody is not my life. I love Beachbody and I think about it and I stress over it, of course. But it's not my life. I still watch TV with my husband every night for about an hour. Like that's time I could be working the business, but it's important to me to be with him. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm getting my stuff done when I need to. But don't think that it has to take over your life. And don't think that it has to overwhelm you to the point where it's not fun anymore. This business can change your life without it completely taking over your life. And you can't let it take over your life. And that's something else that's really been pissing me off, if I can say. I am tired of coaches saying, I'm on my phone all the time. I have to quit, or I need to take a step back because I'm on my phone all the time. Well, then get off of your phone. It's not Beachbody's fault that you're on your phone all the time. That's your fault. I'm not talking to you guys. I get really passionate about this. It's our responsibility to set those boundaries. It's our responsibility to have the discipline to stop scrolling and get on your phone, do what you need to do, and get off your phone. And I'm not saying it's easy, but I am so tired of coaches coming to me with that excuse. Or my husband says I'm on my phone too much. Same thing. Well, then get off your phone. I don't want this to come between your marriage. You know, like that's the last thing I want for my team of coaches. So don't let Beachbody be your life. Set those boundaries. This is supposed to fit your life. It's not supposed to take over your life. Okay, I'm done for real. We can do more questions or anything else.
Girl, you just killed it. I have to show you this. This is on my desk.
Believe. I love it.
And it is like our word for our team, and it has been now for, since November, Melanie. We were like, a light, like you talk about that switch that was kind of flipped.
Yeah.
You just decided one day that you were like, I believe in this. And we were both tiptoers for a while, and we believe, and it, you really, I think, hit it home with your message tonight. Does anybody have any questions for Dara? I know she has littles, and I don't want to keep her too long, but I want to open it up just really quick. Does anybody have a question?
I just have some gratitude. I'm so grateful for you giving us all of those nuggets, and I was writing things down too, and I love how you touched on, that it's our responsibility to be disciplined enough to put Beachbody in its place, because I know myself, like, I struggle with that,
We all do.
Yeah. And so I appreciate you saying that, and I think it is so important, because it shouldn't take over. And I love how you framed it. It should fit into your life, not the other way around. So I thank you for sharing that nugget with us. I think that's super important.
Thank you. I'm glad that spoke to you.
Thank you, Dara, so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And next time you see me around Florida, you come see me.
I know. I don't know if I'm in Orlando. Are you in Tampa?
I'm in Tampa. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe one day we'll run into each other at the beach or something.
At a Super Saturday or something.
Oh yeah. I'll see you at the next Super Saturday.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks again for having me.
Thank you. Bye.